Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me in the Spiritist Talk series promoted by the United States Spiritist Federation, and we meet every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I am happy to be here to take the role as your host, where I have Gustavo Silveira, who will be leading our live with the topic, the theme, Jesus said, I am the way. If I may, I would like to take just a brief moment to make a couple of announcements. So the first one is just to announce for those who have not seen those, there is a podcast-like series called Psychology and Spirituality: A Bridge to a Better Life, which are discussions based on the works by Joanna de Angelis. There is a new episode every Friday, and they are aired at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. The Psychology and Spirituality weekly talks are based, as I said, on the works by Joanna de Angelis, and they offer this space to confront, compare, correlate, and expand on spirituality concepts from a psychological lens and bring in maybe insights, actionable tips, and potentially real world advice to help all of us lead a better life. I urge you to subscribe to receive notifications of new episodes at the USSF YouTube channel. Next, I would like to announce, and this is happening as we speak, this weekend, October 13th to the 15th, the United States Spirits Federation and the Canadian Spiritist Council, they joined together to present the North American Spiritist Educators Workshop 2023. I believe you can still register by using the link as you can see below. It is http forward slash bit.ly forward slash NA uh, dash educators dash workshop. Whew. It is in the screen, and I hope if you have an interest and are able to do so, take this advantage of this opportunity. And my last note is that on the screen, you see there is a QR code. If you want to help the United States Spirit Federation produce publications and promote Spiritism to everyone, you can take this moment to scan the QR code on the screen for a donation. Now, back to Gustavo. Gustavo, it is so good to share the next hour and a half with you today. It's the first time that we're together, and I want to say, together with everyone who is here right now watching this live broadcast, please, we welcome you and we want to thank you for being here with us today. I'm sure you are just as eager as I am to hear from Gustavo, but before he starts to let us know, to enlighten us on this topic. I'm really intrigued, by the way, Gustavo. Let us really hear a little bit about him. So I will formally introduce Gustavo if you have not met him yet. Gustavo Silveira was born in, it's going to be a mix of really funny sounding words, right, Gustavo? Born in Araxá, a city in the state of Minas Gerais in Brazil. He is currently living in Uberlândia, which is in the same state. Gustavo is an amazing contributor, very active in the Spiritismo.net channel, where he engages in meaningful spiritual studies. Further, he collaborates in the podcast with the title Coffee and Spiritism, or in Portuguese, Café com Espiritismo, which is presented in Portuguese and English. And this is an amazing opportunity to see how we are extending the reach of his discussions on Spiritism proper. Please take this opportunity now to remember to send your questions, your feedback, your critique during the presentation using the chat window. Gustavo will have a little bit of time to address your comments and questions once he concludes the presentation. Gustavo, the mic is yours, and I'll talk to you at the end of your presentation. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Marcia. Also, I would like to thank Josara for the invite and for the opportunity to be here again. It's always a pleasure, and it's an amazing time for us to share reflections, to share knowledge, to share this gospel that we all love and we all seek in our lives to be a better person and to contribute to this world for it to become a better place. As Marcia said, I am Gustavo, and we would like to talk today about this little piece of a sentence Jesus said once. The complete sentence is, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." Actually, Jesus said this in a specific context, but today we would like to focus in the first part. Jesus said, "I am the way," and um, this become to us as a very important thing um, to think about in our daily lives and in our daily activities, because um, as we can see, our culture, our society are very is very is always aiming a goal and a result or something like that. But this way Jesus presents himself um, is something that we may think about to to not only look at the results itself. Um, so for us to start, I would like to go through a very known question in the Spirit's book, which already brings this idea of Jesus as a way. This way is like a path or something like that. And Allan Kardec asked, "What is the perfect standard that God has offered to the humankind as a guide and model?" This is so important question. This is the 625 question, and we consider this question as one of the most important one in the Spirit book, because um, it not only provides an answer for the question, but it gives to all the Spiritism a base, like uh, something to guide ourselves in the message that spirits bring to us. Because the answer is, look at Jesus. Just that. I mean, is the one of the shortest answer, but this establishes that Spiritism is Christianism, and we believe in Jesus, and we do look at the gospel and the Jesus message with um, not only respect, but taking from it all our bases in terms of faith, um, in terms of ethics. But here in this question, when the spirits ask us to look at Jesus, they're willing us to think deeper in the representation Jesus can have in our lives. Um, what we can say is that Jesus is not only a model in terms of a person for us to copy, and um, a model of feelings, a model of actions, a model of thinking, a model of saying things, of relationships, but he's also a guide. This is very important because when we start thinking of Jesus and how good he is, and how maybe how far um, we can be from his message and from what he explained to us, we may start thinking that this message is not for us, or we should be better, or um, we should be, if we could say, we should be more perfect to deserve the message, or to deserve um, his presence or anything like that. But here, Jesus is present as a guide. And when we think of a guide, um, we should consider that the person that would like to be a guide, it cannot just leave the other one and go faster or go in front of. No, the guide is side by side. The guide should not only teach the way, not only teach the path, but follow the person who is being guided, let's say. And this is important because we understand that Jesus is not far away, or Jesus is not in somewhere else, distant from us, but he's very close and he's very near to us, like helping us in every moment, helping us in every time in our lives. And this is an important idea because we start understanding what is expected from us, because sometimes we can think that is expected a perfect, uh, like for us to be a perfect person, but here Jesus is present as a guide, so he's already with us. Emmanuel has a message in the book, the way, the truth, and the life, um, the chapter 16. And he he ends the message saying this: if you want Jesus to come to you, try to improve, try to 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 clean your eyes, and you will feel Jesus with you. This is important because Emmanuel uses the verb come in the beginning of the sentence, if you want Jesus to come to you, but he ends the sentence using the verb feel. You will feel him with you, because it's not a thing that Jesus will come because he's not distant, he's not far, he is already with us, but it's a thing of feel him with us. Sometimes we cannot feel him because we are so stressed and we are so focused in other things, and we can't feel his care, we can't feel his presence. And the problem is not with him, but with us. So understand Jesus as a guide is an important thing. So we start to understand that Jesus is already with us and he's trying to help us. So um, look at Jesus is the way the Spirit found to say to us, pay attention to Jesus, and you notice that he chose he chooses the maybe the worst person in terms of um, how humans is used are used to evaluate people. Um, he seems to choose the worst, because one thing that Jesus is always trying to show to us is the power of love. So he doesn't expect any quality, any perfection of the ones he chose, she chooses, but He's always trying to show us how powerful can be the love to change a person and to make someone that is considered the worst to make the better things, to make the best things in life. So um, Jesus is with us not because we are good or because we're perfect, but because we need it, and He loves us. So the thing that He's a guide, it's not even because we deserve it, but it's because we need it. And since He loves us, He's always near. This is an important idea for us to understand. What is the way? I am the way. Um, there's an important idea here, for us to understand how these things are connected. How to connect the idea of being a guide and of being the way. That Emmanuel wrote in a message called "In the Management Crisis." This is a message talking about when you're managing people or managing an institution and you have some crisis there. And Emmanuel advises us to pray and to look for inspiration and to read things. But at the end of the message, Emmanuel wrote something that is very curious and very important. He said like this. Um, he asked us to pray because when praying you will like receive answers, or you'll be like inspired to take decisions. And he affirms that, and he confirms that, saying this is true because if the creature directs, God guides. We manage life, but life belongs to God. I think this is a very cool sentence, and it's a very deep sentence in terms of meaning, or in terms of practice meaning, because um, the creature directs, but God guides. At first, this can be confusing because it's not intuitive to understand how we can direct one thing but being guided from another thing. But um, I would like to try to understand this connecting to Jesus as a guide. So we direct our life, we take decision, but Jesus, God, and the spirits are like guiding us. To understand this, I thought in a driver in a road. So the driver is driving, um, the driver is directing, but the road is guiding. I mean, if the road if the world makes us to turn left and we trying to turn right, this is like this is like complicated. This will make make an accident, and we will crash the car. So we are directing, we are deciding the velocity, we are deciding the our, the direction itself. I mean, we can go forward, we can go backward, we can go in one side of the road, we can go in another side, but the road is like guiding us to turn left, to turn right, to go straight forward. And I think this is the thought Emmanuel was trying to put in words here. I mean, of course we have freedom and we can make our choice, but the life is being guided. I mean, um, we don't have 100% freedom. um, there are some things that are present in our life, in our lives. And these things are beyond our freedom. I mean, it's not exactly something that we can choose, or at least we cannot choose anymore because we choose in the past. But here is an important idea for us to understand Jesus as a guide. So, uh, of course, we're building ourselves, we're studying, we're learning, and we are growing in many ways. But before that, before all these ideas, we have Jesus as a guide. So, um, when we think that Jesus is the way guiding us, I mean, Jesus is the road or the path or the way. So, whoever is in the way, this person is already with Jesus. Whoever accepts the guidance of Jesus is already with him. Because um, sometimes what I can see is that people think thinks that they need to achieve some level, and when they achieve this level, Jesus will look at them. But this idea only asks us to be in the way, follow the way, follow the lessons or what Jesus is saying, or at least try to, because it's not about achieving some results, but trying to achieve the results. In in Gospel according to John, in the chapter 14, Jesus said that if someone loves me, it will obey my words. So being the way or follow the way is like look at Jesus and try to obey its words, or try to follow what you understand from the gospel or from the the, the, the lessons Jesus left for us. And this will be this will be even more important when we understand that um, understanding Jesus as the way which will guide us, um, if we understanding Jesus as this path to guide our direction, um, will take us to the best understanding, and that's the reason we're talking about this theme today. There's another message in a book that I think it's not translated to English yet, so I did a translation from myself. I If something is wrong, I would like to apologize first, but it's an important message, not in terms of a philosophy or in terms of interpretations or something like that, but in terms of real life. In terms of real life. Because if we understand that Jesus is the way, Jesus is the path that is guiding us, and all we have to do is to try as much as we can to keep in this path, or to understand his words, to try to obey them, we will notice that without Jesus, or without his message, or without what he represents, we can do many good things. When the spirits said, "Look at Jesus," is because they are not talking about specific of Jesus. They are not talking only about Jesus, but what Jesus did, what Jesus brought to us. Um, this would take us to the essential parts of the gospel. It's not about only a person, but of what this person did. And when we say follow Jesus or go through the way, is not exactly um, it's not exactly to only um, adore Jesus, but trying to incorporate what he did in our actions, in our thoughts, in our feelings. So the message we were talking about is called love and forgiveness. Pardon, sorry, love and forgive. And Emmanuel said, Jesus recommended that we should love one another just as he himself loved us, and forgive 70 times, 7 times. Depending on the translation, it would be 77 times, but in another ones, it would be like 70 times, 7 times. This is not exactly important now. So Jesus recommended that we should love one another just as he himself loved us, and forgive 70 times, 7 times. Not because he considers us qualified for similar behavior, but because if we accept his guidelines with patience, he will become more closely associated with us, and with him will be strong and secure to do so. I think this is a very, very important message. I mean, um, we we should understand Jesus as the way, and understand that our main goal for today, for our level, let's say, it's to feel him closely so we can be stronger to love and forgive. In other words, it would be for us to feel stronger to um, be as good as we can be, to be um, kind, or to be gentle with persons, with people, as much as we can. I mean, it's not as Chico was, it's not as Emmanuel is, it's not, I mean, it's not as someone can be. No, it's as we can be, as much as we can be. That's what is expected from us. And for us to be as good as we can is very, very likely that we should be near to Jesus in terms of the message, in terms of the lessons, in terms of the the gospel itself. Because when we only evaluate the results, we only if we only defend the idea that the results are good, we loses we lose the we lose the value of the processes, the training, the studying, the I mean, the process to become what Jesus, what the world needs us to be, or what we are supposed to be in the end of time. Let's say, it's because there is much value when we try, not only when we achieve. And sometimes when we look at the real life, when we um, when we look at how the society is built, we see that we value the result, but we don't value the process to achieve the result. And this is the main point here. Maybe we won't be able to love as Jesus loved us. Maybe we won't be able to forgive. Maybe we won't be able to be as good as we think we should be. But if we apply efforts to be what we can and the way we can, this is already being the way. This is already being with Jesus. And as long as we keep with Him, trying to improve, trying to trying to do things as we know things can be done or need to be done, as we learn from Spiritism, as we learn from Gospel, as long as we keep on trying and keep on doing, we will feel stronger, and it will become easier to keep on in this way, on in this path. And this is important because we won't feel like um, we won't feel bad when we don't get it, because we would we will try to um to understand the value of being in the way. It's not important when we don't achieve some results, because when we fail, let's say it this way, when we fail, we learn so much about ourselves. We learn about our strength, we learn about our capabilities, we learn about our abilities, and we learn about people around us. So when we fail, this is not as bad as sometimes we think. The most important thing is to keep on trying, because of course we will fail many times. Of course we will um, try and not achieve. But if we understand that Jesus is the way, if we understand that we need to be closer to Him to feel stronger, and to understand that uh, He called many people that weren't that good of what society expected. We would try to be patient, more patient, and we will understand that we need to keep on trying, and we need to get up again and try again. And this is the most important thing. That's what Emmanuel is saying here. He said about love, about forgive, not because he considers us qualified for similar behavior, but because if we accept his guidelines with patience, that's the important of being patient. If we accept these guidelines with patience, he will become more closely associated with us, and with him, we will be strong and secure to do so. We need patience because we will fail many times, and um, and we get up again and try again. I know that our society looks too much for the results, and we want to know how much money some project will give, or how fast someone can build a project or can build anything else. We want the building, we want the money, we want the result. But with Jesus, we are being called to understand how good it is to be in the way. Um, Sometimes I will feel anger, I will feel disappointed, I will feel mad, but this is this is um, this is normal. The thing is, what I will do after this, what I will do after being mad, after being disappointed, after being hurt, what I will do after, because my reactions or my feelings or what people do to me, um, it's not every time I can control, but I can't control what I will do next, what I will do after everything happened. And this will say to me if I am the way or not, if I'm already with Jesus or not, if I understand that I have to go through a process of um, of improvement, let's say. And the thing is, if my purpose is to keep in this path or in this way, if I'm strong enough to not give up of trying or of facing myself, understanding what level I am and what are my dark side. But after all, the most important thing is if I'm um let's say if I'm available to keep in the way, to keep um to keep looking at Jesus, to keep putting myself close to him so I can feel stronger to try again and again and again. Um and that's what we would like to share today. Understanding that we are all um we were all trying. I mean, no one here can say that is achieving something or can be like the teacher, but um, we we are all in the same way, which is Jesus, and he's bringing to us challenges and people and situations that can um, put us forward and um, make us work inside us so we can improve ourselves. I would like to thank you for your attention and thanks again for the invite.
Oh, it's so good, so good to hear from you, Gustavo. And I wanted to say thank you for the reflections on the sentence, right? Jesus said, "I am the way." But I wanted to tell the public that we're now open for comments and questions. So let's go ahead and see if there's anyone that we can further explain, Gustavo. So the first one, it says, in a materialistic society, most of us invest our energy in financial goals. How can we help society at large shift this paradigm to a life focused on spiritual gains?
That's a real good question. I like to think that no one is responsible itself for the society, uh, but we are at first responsible for ourselves. This is not a selfish perspective, but a realistic perspective. I mean, we can't exactly change the world. So, what I do believe is that um, we can change our lives, our personal lives, in such a way that people around us get so impacted about us that
Mhm.
they are like um they feel motivated to change too, because if we talk or if we speak about spiritual life or spiritual gains, this would be one thing. But if we show in our lives how good this spiritual thing is, people will get interested and people will get like motivated to follow too. And I think this is something that we all can do. And in a long term, let's say, it can change the world.
I love it. Thanks, Gustavo. What this reminds me, this question is what Saint Francis of Assisi said, right? Teach the gospel all the time, and if needed, use your words. Meaning, let's be what we're teaching, what we believe, and that will be the teachings, right, Gustavo?
Yeah, yeah, because if what we're talking about is good, why don't we apply it in our lives first? I mean, uh, what gospel is this that I want you to apply in your life, but I'm not applying in mine? I mean, this doesn't make sense. So at first, it's for me, and when the other people see the change in my life, they can like feel motivated to change too.
In my mind's eye, I can hear Jesus saying, "You Pharisees, you're hypocrites." I'm just kidding. Let's see if we have another question popping up. So there's another one. So many of us are experiencing pains. Why do we have to endure pain and heartache? Do we have maybe a message of consolation and help for the person who asked that?
Sure. um I think one of the most consolation spiritism can bring to us can bring to us in this thing, um is that spiritism is guarantee that there is a cause for everything we pass through life. But this is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that everything happened to us for us to learn and for us to to be stronger after um, going through the situations. Um, I like so much of Steve Jobs' speech in the I think it's in Stanford,
Mm-hmm.
and he started saying many things in his life that is so painful and so complicated, but after going through all of these things and he looks back, he understands that everything was so important for what he was living in that moment. So I think it's something like that. I mean, spiritism is always saying there is a cause, but this is not important. The most important thing is what we learn from it and how we build ourselves after it. I mean, um, and also a very important thing is that every every bad moment will end in some point, at some point, and we will survive and we'll be alive after that. So we don't need to desperate or something like that, but we should trust in God and understand that everything has a reason to happen. And the most important is we we can learn from the pain or every bad situation that happens to us, just as Steve Jobs said in that speech. I mean, when you look behind, you understand that everything was um, so how can I say, everything was a piece of a bigger project in your life.
I love it. I loved having the ability to see the completed puzzle after all the pieces are put together. And if I go back to what you said, Gustavo, so you mentioned that pain has an expiration date, right? If you're still suffering, it's because it has not expired, meaning it's there's a reason for us to go through that, and in the aftermath, the result is something that will be very good for us. We'll learn from it. So I love the reference to Steve Jobs, and I urge everyone to look for it, for that specific speech that he spoke, and I think it's quite inspiring. So thanks for referencing that.
Yeah, it is.
So someone told us, if I'm not a Christian, how can I find the way? Way meaning Jesus, to connect with God.
Yeah, that's a good question. This is something we try to highlight in the during the the live. When we say Jesus, we're not exactly talking about a person itself, but what this person did. And I think this is the most important thing to understand here. One thing that I like, Emmanuel wrote, I don't know the translation in English is A Caminho da Luz. Um,
I believe it's the title is A Way to the Light. If
yes,
somebody can, yeah, okay.
yes, The Way to the Light. And Emmanuel, this is like a historical book about the story, the human story, and he always highlight how Jesus invests in many people, in many communities, in many countries, not only in Brazil or USA, but um, in all the world. So China, Greek, the Greek person, the Egypt and
Yes, India, yeah.
India. Yeah, yeah, yeah. On the way to the light. That's the book. So this is so um this is so good to think that don't ex- Jesus doesn't um expect us to adore himself, but to go through the message. And we see that in many religions, in many countries, in many perspectives. So when we think about Jesus, that's why the answer of the Spirit's book is so important. May I read the question again?
Absolutely. I
Um,
appreciate you doing that.
yeah. What is the perfect standard that God has offered to humankind as a guide and model? And the answer is look at Jesus. It's not Jesus exactly, but look at him. Because when you look at him, there will be the guide, there will be the model. So it's about what he did and not about himself. So what he did, we see in many ways, in many religions throughout the world. So I think this is the most important thing, because we have consciousness,
Hmm.
and it appoints us the right path. So we can use many messages like philosophy or anything else to guide us in a love perspective, and try to improve our spirits in terms of love, in terms of forgiveness, and everything that we understand is good.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for that. So many Christians think that the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit or Holy Ghost are one and the same. Can you talk about the Spiritist view of that triad, if you will?
Sure. Spiritism will present um, a different view in terms of this Trinity. Um, so God is the creator, but it is the Father also. So not only being a creator that creates us and go away, but a Father that follow us. And um, there's a concept that Kardec will bring to us, is of divine providence. So this is the care. So God is a Father, but Jesus is different from God. So Jesus is a spirit as us. The only main difference is that Jesus has already gone through the process of um, of I missed the word. It's like improvement, um, evolution.
We could say evolution.
Yeah, and he has completed the process, and now he's going back to us to teach us to uh yeah evolvement. Thank you, John. He now comes back to help us going through our process. So um that's the way we understand Jesus as the spirit responsible to help us in our path, in our evolvement process. And the Holy Spirit, this is a very interesting thing, because this is an idea that is not very well, I think this is not very well translated in terms of, because sometimes we we understand that the Holy Spirit would be like, uh would be, how can I say, um it will be something apart. But I like to understand, and what I can say is the Spiritist view is the the confirmation of the spiritual side of the life. I mean, because there's something about the translation here that is hard to explain in in English, but it's not exactly a spirit, a different kind of creature or something like that, but it's more, we can understand as a presence or something like that, of our, um, how can I say, anjo da guarda, or the, um,
The benefactor, right? The guardian angel.
yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, we can understand as this benefactor that represents God in our lives. So it's not, there is no mysticism here. That's what I'm trying That's what I'm trying to to say. This is more related to a spiritual presence in our lives, and it represents God to us.
Yeah, if I may, Gustavo, for me, whenever we're talking about the notion of Trinity, and I come from we both are from Brazil, a very Catholic country, and from that Christian belief system, it's based a lot on a very dogmatic approach, right? So you have to believe that the Trinity is one and only. When we start to study Spiritism, we start to see that things are easier to understand, not dogmatic, but also more complicated because it takes a lot of understanding, awareness of hierarchy of spirits, hierarchy of the worlds, why we're here, what is the reason. And I think this is very appropriate for your presentation, your discussion today, which is, um, you know, what Jesus said, He's the way, I am the way, which is all about being that guiding light, that guiding direction for all of us, right?
Yeah, yeah. I think this is the most important thing to understand. And it's not about saying which vision is better or something
Hmm.
like that, but understand that there are many ways of understanding this Trinity, which is it's not exactly about one thing, but is about God that is uh, a different of is different from Jesus, and is different from this Holy Spirit. It's because when we go through the translation, we understand that this Holy Spirit um, is like emphasizing a mysticism view, which is not from Spiritism.
Oh, love it, love it. The notion of let's break away, and this is something very important for Kardec in the mid 19th century, right? To break away from ritualistic or mysticisms that were very predominant in many different religions at the time.
Yeah,
Let's see
that's
if
right.
we let's see if we have time for another one. So we have social media platforms have made our lives feel like we are under the microscope, quote unquote microscope. Can you talk about how to shift from feeling vulnerable when we fail? And I guess what they're saying here is vulnerable as exposed in this many different types of social media channels out there, to becoming aware of failure as opportunities to learn about ourselves. I think you ended your discussion focusing on that, right, Gustavo?
Yeah, yeah, you're correct. And thanks for the question. I think social media has something that is very good.
Hmm.
Um, for example, I have learned many things from social media and from people that is sharing knowledge in the social media. But also, social media is getting us in the very weak, in a very weakness, uh, in a very weak point we have, which is the pride and the will we have to make people believe that we are better than we are. And why I'm saying that, because when we go through social media, we see that people shares only the happy moments, and travels, and they only share when everything's okay, which can take us to believe that uh, we are the only ones that fail and the
Hmm.
others doesn't. And this is very is a very tricky thing, because everyone has bad moments. So um i I always remember a friend that was always um publishing photos with her boyfriend, and everything seems to be so happy and so good. And when I talked to her, like few minutes, she complained so much about the relationship and about the boyfriend. I was so shocked because I was following her life through the social media, and I couldn't even imagine in my in my worst dreams, let's say, I couldn't even imagine how bad it was, and it was being. So, what I think, or at least what I understood from the question, is to take care of what we see. People are sharing moments. People are not like sharing the whole movie. It's just a
Mhm.
piece. So,
It's the trailer, right? They're
yeah,
just sharing the trailer.
yeah, that's correct. And yeah, I mean, these can help us understand that everyone has their moments, and I'm sure that everyone here can say an example just as mine. um I myself has have more examples to give, but I think this is the most important thing for us to understand, that people are always sharing the good moments, and um, we don't need to feel bad when we don't have such a good moment.
Mhm.
And because we're not here to copy anyone, we're not here to live a life that is not ours. We are here to go through our process, in not in a selfish perspective again, but in a real perspective that is saying you can't live another life. I mean, you have yours, so make the better you can, and that's what is expected from us.
Awesome. I think, Gustavo and everyone, that there's so many layers of discussions here, right, Gustavo? But this whole discussion that I am the way, it's really about authenticity. We joked earlier about the Pharisees and the hypocrites, right? And in fact, our society is undergoing this. The reversal of that, because we live through trailers of the movies, not the whole movie. We don't find the conflict, or we don't advertise in our own narrative about narratives, plural, about our conflicts, our failures, what we had done to maybe every 5 steps that we fell, that we or went backwards, that we did one in going forward. So I think, in a way, if I could say, it's actually a message of progress and pushing us to be better. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We feel, but we got to be better, because we got to put that in social media. Perhaps maybe a stretching here, but I think it's important for us to understand what you said, Gustavo, which is the plea for us to be okay with failing, to be okay to being vulnerable, and most importantly, to be ourselves, who we are, to understand that the meaning in life, in the way, is not financial or whatever goals. It is in being, and being requires facing who we are in all the good and bad, and ugly, right? All the aspects of who we are.
Yeah, and one thing that came to my mind that it maybe is important to highlight,
Mm-hmm.
when we go through the history,
Mm-hmm.
we always see that um, the the society adores a person,
Yeah.
and we are always and sometimes we are forced to adore persons. And I keep on thinking what is built in our minds, because I mean, we 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 die and we come again, but
Yeah.
it's always a construction in our minds. So we are always looking at people, thinking that they are special, and we are not. But I mean, we are always we are all in the same
Yeah.
path.
But Gustavo, I think this is a topic for entire different discussion.
Yeah.
Kardec wrote and I don't remember the title. I think it's called The Aristocracies in his posthumous work. Uh, and I'm thinking of it because he applies the notion of worshiping certain groups of people, certain people, groups of people throughout history. And it's very interesting if we couple that with perhaps the notion of our atavistic inheritance that we bring because we lived past lives, that we bring with us things that may be a reflection of who we were 500, 2000, 5,000 years ago. So I think this can be another topic, but I love it. I love that maybe this whole predisposition to worship whoever, right? The actor, the best actor or influencer or whoever of the day, and that is just an interesting innate, looks like innate tendency for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Oh, so we have another one. Can we conclude that since we are still very imperfect beings, Jesus is guiding us to truths that we don't completely understand through his teachings and how he loved and forgave? What are your thoughts?
Jesus is guiding us to truth that we don't completely understand through his teachings and how he loved and forgave. Yeah, I think it's just as we teach the child. I mean, um, sometimes the child won't understand what we want and why we're doing what we're doing, but
Hmm.
um, there's always something that we can understand. Um, one thing one thing Kardec said about the mediumship is that the faith is not a requirement from the beginner because no one is like forced to believe or to trust in something that um, it's not it doesn't know. But what is required from the beginner is the goodwill, because um, if the beginner has a goodwill, it will have faith in a short term, in a short time. I think it's what Jesus is expecting from us. Uh, why we can have a goodwill, and I think we can trust the Jesus guiding, because um, when we look at the world itself, we understand that um, besides the wars, besides the crimes, besides the violence, we are improving. I mean, in terms of um, humans. Um, not long time ago, it was legal to buy a person.
Right.
You
Yeah.
could buy a person. This is so incredible. And today um, it's completely scary. How could you buy a person? And this shows to us how we are improving. So of course we don't completely understand, but we can trust. I mean, because um, Jesus already gave us so much proof, so many proofs that he knows what he's doing. And um, but I do think the most important thing is to have a goodwill in terms of what life bringing to us, and in terms of challenge, in terms of people, and believe that doing the best we can is what is expected from us today.
Awesome. Made me think of Joanna D'Angela's book by Divaldo Perez Franco's mediumship, The Psychology of Gratitude, right? The sense of be thankful for everything that comes your way. This is really good.
Yeah, um such a good reminder.
Yeah. Let's see. There's another one. How does Jesus, as a guide, help us to a better, richer, more meaningful life?
Hmm, I would say, um as a guide, I would say that he didn't ask us to do something that he didn't do first. When he said, if someone is willing to follow me, um, I don't know the the verse in English, but it's like, if someone is willing to follow me, um, forget about itself, take your cross and follow me. Um, this is important because before I take my cross, Jesus took his. Before um, before asking me to forgive, he forgave. So as a guide, he is, I mean, he didn't suffer because I for pardon. What I would like to say is, we don't go through challenges because Jesus went. Jesus went because we would pass through challenges. It's the opposite. I mean, I don't have to suffer because Jesus suffered. Jesus suffered because I will suffer. I mean, I would have my challenges. So, as a guide, what Jesus presents to us is ways to handle our our questions, our challenges. So he is following us through the situations, remembering us that he already gave us the path. He has already gave us uh, he has already given us the the lessons and things that we can use to learn and to improve and have a meaningful life.
That is awesome. He showed us the way, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I'm not sure if we have any additional questions. I don't know, but if we don't, I just want to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone who is here today watching with us this discussion, this conversation. And for those, all of you who have also been following the weekly Spiritist Talk series, next Saturday, I believe it's October 21st. Yes, we will have at the same time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, Luis Lima, who will be discussing Spiritist hierarchy. And I am going to bet Gustavo and all of you who were talking about God and Jesus and us and the goodness and the perfect spirit that Jesus is in us. I think Luis Lima is going to talk about it. This is just a thought. But before we go, Gustavo, would you mind saying a prayer for us?
Not at all.
Thank you.
So let's close our eyes and try to focus in Jesus' face, praying together. Jesus, we are here making efforts, trying to improve, trying to do the best we can. But later or not, we understand that you are the best friend of us, the best model, and we understand that you are the excellent guide God gave to us. And we really want to learn from your message, from your example, how to be a better person, how to be a better citizen, a better father, a better mother, a better brother, a better son, a better daughter. And we want help. We want to ask for help so you can feed our faith, our strength. We know we are gonna fail sometimes, but after all, we want to learn, we want to get up and keep on walking, keep on trying, and we would like your help. Thanks for everything. Thanks for the life. Thanks for every single person you put in our daily lives, in daily routines. Thanks for the opportunity of being here. Thanks for the Spiritism. And thanks for the opportunity of building relationships that shows us the power of love.